Welcome back to Faith Friday on Full Tank with E. And for those who are new to my channel, this is a time for drivers and those in the trucking industry to pause, reflect on God's word, and find encouragement for the road ahead. No matter what you're carrying today, I pray that my message strengthens your faith and remind you that God is with you, within you, every mile of the journey. So let's jump right into episode 7, When Silence Feels Heavy.
Fill it up and roll with the full tank with E on your frequency. Beautiful Eve Duran bringing trucking live from a woman behind the wheel. Real talk, no hype. Hit subscribe and ride along free. It's full tank with E. Yeah.
All right, you guys, there are some people who crave silence, right? They dream about having a few quiet moments to themselves, no phones ringing, no meetings, no noise, no interruptions, just peace and quiet. But if you've spent time on the road, you know there are moments when silence doesn't feel peaceful at all. Sometimes silence feels heavy. Sometimes silence feels lonely. Sometimes silence feels like a spotlight shining on every thought you've been trying to avoid. As truck drivers, we spend a lot of time alone. We drive for hours with nothing but the sound of the engine, the tires on the pavement, and our own thoughts. And while there are days when that feels freeing, there are other days when it feels like that quiet is louder than the noise. Because when life gets quiet, everything you've been pushing aside has room to surface. The worries, the regrets, the unanswered questions, the disappointments, the things you never fully processed because you stayed busy enough to avoid them. And suddenly, silence doesn't feel peaceful anymore. It feels uncomfortable. That's why so many people try to fill every quiet moment with something. Music, a podcast, social media, phone calls, television, anything to avoid sitting alone with their own thoughts for too long. And don't get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with enjoying those things. I listen to podcasts. Hey, I even have a podcast. I enjoy music. Most of us do. But sometimes we become so uncomfortable with silence that we never allow ourselves to sit still long enough to understand what's actually happening inside of us. And that can become a problem because silence has a way of revealing things that busyness hides. I've noticed something over the years. Some of the biggest lessons I've learned about myself didn't come during the busiest seasons of my life. They came during the quiet seasons. They came when I didn't have anywhere to run mentally. They came when distractions were removed. They came when I finally had to sit with my own thoughts long enough to be honest with myself. And while that process isn't always comfortable, it's often necessary. That's one reason why I love Psalms 46:10 when God says, "Be still and know that I am God." Notice he doesn't say be busy and know that I am God. He doesn't say keep distracting yourself and know that I am God. He says be still, because sometimes stillness is where clarity begins. Sometimes stillness is where healing begins. Sometimes stillness is where you finally hear what you've been too busy to hear. The truth is, so many of us spend so much time trying to escape the silence that we never learn how to benefit from it. And because of that, silence becomes something we fear instead of something we learn from. But what if silence isn't your enemy? What if silence is actually an invitation? An invitation to sit down, slow down, an invitation to reflect, an invitation to reconnect with God, an invitation to become aware of the things you've been carrying without realizing it. Think about how many times Jesus withdrew from crowds to spend time alone. He wasn't avoiding responsibility. He wasn't isolating himself because he was struggling. He understood the value of stepping away from noise. If Jesus needed quiet moments, maybe we do too. Now, that doesn't mean silence is always easy. There will be times when silence brings uncomfortable thoughts to the surface. There will be moments when you sit alone and become aware of hurts you haven't healed from. There will be moments when questions arise that you don't have answers for. But that doesn't mean silence is hurting you. Sometimes silence is simply revealing what needs attention, because you can't heal what you refuse to acknowledge. You can't address what you won't face. And sometimes the quiet moments are where God begins bringing those things to the surface, not to overwhelm you, but to help you deal with them. I've learned that there is a difference between being alone and being abandoned. Being alone is a circumstance. Being abandoned is a belief. And many times when drivers talk about loneliness, what they're really talking about is the feeling of disconnect, feeling unseen, feeling like nobody understands what they're carrying. The beautiful thing about faith is that even in those quiet moments, you're actually never alone. God doesn't disappear when the truck is parked. He doesn't disappear when the phone isn't ringing. He doesn't disappear when nobody else seems to understand you. In fact, some of the deepest moments of connection happen when everything else gets quiet enough for you to notice He's been there the entire time. So if silence feels heavy lately, don't rush to fill every moment with noise. Take a breath, sit with it, pray through it, reflect on it, allow God to meet you in it. Because sometimes the very thing you're trying to escape is the place where clarity, healing, and peace are actually waiting for you. And sometimes the quiet road teaches lessons that the busy road never could. 1 mile at a time, one quiet moment at a time, one step at a time. Until next time, stay safe out there. If you're wondering what's inside my new book, here's the answer. This isn't a trucking skills book. It's not about backing. It's not about logbooks. It's not about DOT inspections. This book is about the challenges nobody prepares drivers for. Loneliness, missing family moments, feeling misunderstood, depression, anxiety, mental burnout, emotional numbness, stress, feeling trapped, loss of motivation. Every chapter includes a real-life trucking scenario, biblical encouragement, practical solutions, reflection questions, and a prayer. Because the truth is, the trucking industry does a good job teaching people how to drive, but it doesn't always teach people how to carry the emotional weight that comes with the lifestyle. That's why I wrote the Mental Health Roadmap for Truck Drivers. If you're interested in a copy, the link is in my bio. Stay safe out there.